everyone. Welcome to the Match Grade Podcast. Here I am, solo tonight because Matt's tied up, but I've got something that I want to cover. All right, so tonight we're going to call this the Instructor's Corner, the gut check. Here's why. I'll preface this by saying this episode might upset someone. Good. If it's you that I upset, then I'm talking about you. Here's the thing. Take a minute, sit down and listen to this, because I'm not just going to complain, I'm going to offer some solutions. Here's why. Also, feel free to comment below, but bear in mind, if you want to argue, you're definitely who I'm referring to in this podcast. Okay? So this might come off as harsh. It may seem like I don't care, but I do. That's why I'm doing this episode. Okay? I care about the industry that I have chosen to build a business in and make a career out of. I also care that others want to do the best work possible. But there are those out there that do not care, and they're only in this for the money and their own ego, not the industry, their students, or the community. So gut check time. You need to do better. I'm talking to you, the instructor out there, the training counselor. We'll get to everybody here soon. But you need to do better. Stop accepting mediocrity for yourself and also for your students. As instructors, we should be the example. Become better educated, better skilled, and then pass that along to your students. Your goal is to create students that are great, that are solid shooters, that are good practitioners of concealed carry and firearm safety. But here's the thing, the best instructors are also really great students too. If you stopped learning when you got your instructor credential, you're part of the problem. This is a continual cycle of learning, assimilation, practice, and delivery. You just keep going back and forth all the way around. You learn something, you learn how to make it part of you, or you blend it into what you already know. Then you practice it, so you anchor it, so you get it in there, so it's part of you. And then you could deliver it. You go and deliver it to your students. Okay? As firearms and concealed carry instructors, you are tasked with providing knowledge and skill that's probably going to save somebody's life. It's not a game. It's not something to take lightly. If you're handing out certificates, make sure the student actually earns it. Just don't give out participation certificates. Stop. What I mean is stop giving people a false sense of accomplishment. Don't give certificates they didn't earn, because you're not helping them. You're just making yourself feel good, and you're afraid to tell somebody that they failed. Well, they didn't fail. They just didn't do well today, and here's your job. Coach those clients throughout the class. Give them the skills. Help them learn those skills and that knowledge that you know that they'll need to do well in your course. Just don't stand there and call out drills and expect them to perform them great. You need to work with them. You need to go hands-on. You need to get right next to them, and you need to be their coach. If somebody in your class doesn't feel like they got some personal attention, you did something wrong. Okay? You got to coach them. You got to work them through everything, so you give them all the tools. Now, if they do pass, you did your job. Way to go. Congratulations. And so did they. You gave them tools. You gave them knowledge, and they applied it. And they did well. You should be proud. But if they don't pass, you need to talk to them. You need to offer more tips, future coaching on what they need to work on. You need to be a resource for them. But you do not give them a certificate for trying. When you hand someone a certificate, you are verifying that they have passed your course and have met, preferably exceeded, your standards in your course. And you will stand behind the training you gave them. You need to be able to state with integrity that your students did what was expected of them and either met or exceeded your criteria for that course. When you're doing courses, no one slips by. No one passes by a little bit. No one passes because you're uncomfortable in telling them they didn't pass. They have to earn it. If they don't earn it, you work with them. You give them what they need so that later on they can earn it. And then you should be proud of what you did. Okay? If you can't look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I did my job and I did it well, and everybody I came in contact with today at this course got something out of it, something of value, and they did well, then you need to have another gut check. Maybe there's something more you can do. Now think about this. When you became certified as an instructor, I don't care who it's under. It could be under NRA, USCCA, or any other organizations. Okay? You took an oath. You made a promise to follow your organization's rules, regulations, and training criteria. You were instructed, and you promised to follow the training requirements as given to you. So let me ask you this. Are you still doing so? If you are, great. Keep up the good work. But continue to do better. Keep going. If you're not, then you have a choice to make. It's pretty easy. One, get retrained on what is required and follow what you need to do to follow the rules, to do good work, to train up to the standards of your organization. Okay? Or two, get out. Leave this to those that are doing it correctly. In every firearms instructor rating, there is a requirement of knowledge and skill. That means you have to have in-depth knowledge of the topic and the skills involved in training. If you're teaching CCW or defensive pistol skills, you must have a highly developed and anchored set of skills. There's no excuse for being mediocre. Something else to consider. Not everyone should be teaching CCW courses. At least not until they obtain a great deal of experience themselves and can easily pass specific standards or assessments at the minimum. Okay. Understanding the use of a handgun in self-defense is a very convoluted subject, and you need to fully understand all of the factors involved. If you attend a CCW instructor type certification, you need to be ready to perform on demand any skill, any demo or test that is required. If you cannot, then you are not prepared and you should not be there. Yes, that's a harsh statement. Good. Becoming a CCW instructor should be difficult. The job of a CCW instructor is difficult. You have to have up-to-date knowledge on laws, situations, and training. You must be able to deliver on demand what is required of the course. You'll need to prove that you can handle, shoot, demo, and understand the material and other topics and easily pass the required standards of skill and knowledge of that rating. Or you're just not ready to be that instructor, period. I've conducted and facilitated a lot of concealed carry-oriented instructor certification courses. In every single course, there are always candidates that have not prepared. It's very obvious that they aren't ready. Whether it's they just don't have enough skill or they didn't take it seriously enough and they didn't do work ahead of time. So when I see that, my first thought is, why are they here? Why are they not ready? They should be ready. You're coming to a concealed carry certification course. A certification course is one that verifies that you have all of the requirements. That's all. It's not a development course. That's what you should have done before you came to the certification course. Okay? The development course is where you will learn what you need to know and then what you need to work on until you are ready. You develop into an instructor, especially a concealed carry instructor. If you do not have the ability to deliver at the start of this course, then you won't be fully ready to do it at the end. Okay? 2 or 3 days are not going to be developing. It's multiple courses of 2 or 3 days. It's hours of practice. Now, this is me personally, but I think there's a lot of consensus in this. I fully believe that all concealed carry or defensive instructor certification courses should start with an assessment or qualification. Right? First thing, if you show up, you should be ready to go. You should be ready to perform, and you should be ready to pass. Now, this qualification should be a pass or a fail, not a let's see how you're doing. Okay? Either you're ready or you're not. If you're ready, great. Guess what? You got through the assessment, the qualification, whatever the title of it is, and then you're just going to continue to work, learn the material better, and then you'll be certified. You're good. Okay, you got the hard part out of the way. You prepared for the course ahead of time. If you don't pass the assessment or the qualification, that's okay. Don't let it get in your head. Stay there. Learn the material. Use it as a training environment. Get practiced and find out what you need to work on. Then go home, to the range, wherever. But after the class, go and do the work. Spend the time. Do your dry fire work. Do your live fire work. Learn how to measure what you're doing and how it's getting better. Then come back at a later date after you've put in all that work, and you'll be ready. Now, if you can find a prep class for that instructor certification course, I would definitely do it. Even if you think you're good, what could it hurt? It's trigger time. It's exposure to the material. You'll know what to expect. And this way, if there's something you still need to work on, you can work on it. Okay? But don't do the prep class the day before the instructor class. You don't have time to fix things. Okay? Now, the other factor is whoever certifies the instructor. Typically, they're called training counselors. In other worlds, they might call them train the trainer, but it's the same thing. Okay? We use the abbreviation of TC. If you're a TC with integrity, you will filter out instructors who are not ready, but you're also going to coach them. You'll be their mentor. If you worry about quantity over quality, then you're passing ineffective candidates just to keep making money. So TCs, it's time for you to take the gut check. Okay? Yes, I know you're out there. I've met you. You're out there bragging about how many instructors you've certified. Hundreds, thousands. I've certified so many. Yeah, I get it. Okay. You churn them out because you're just feel good about it. I get it. The problem is if you're focused on quantity versus quality, then you're part of the problem. Inevitably, you're churning out low quality instructors who will produce low quality courses teaching low quality skills. You can't make an instructor in a weekend. An instructor is made before that weekend. And then they show up to the certification course to be checked out, to be qualified, to be certified. But you can't take somebody from a low level of skill and make them an instructor. If they don't got it, then they don't get it. Okay? In the CCW instructional world, your students are going to be teaching their students garbage skills that will get them hurt or worse. So here's what you can do. Stop doing that. Stop focusing on how many and focusing on how good your instructor candidates are. Are you preparing them to do well? Do you give them as much information ahead of time before the class? Do you vet them? Do you talk to them? Do you call them up and ask them what their training history is? I do. I have a discussion with each and every single candidate I teach. And if I don't think they're ready, I'll tell them. But I'll tell them what they can do to get ready. Okay? The thing is, you have to prepare them to do well. Okay? Or are you just hoping to see what happens and let fate decide how well they do? I don't know. You know, I look at it this way. As a training counselor, my job is to make sure the right people get into the industry and the training industry. But it's also my job to make sure that people that really want to get into the industry but aren't quite ready yet know how to do it and how to do it right. Now, I talked about going out and getting training earlier, right? This goes for you, training counselor, not just the instructors. If you train yourself to a higher standard and then you hold your candidates to those high standards, guess what? You're setting the example. They will then train their own students at their standards, those high standards that you've passed down. Here's the thing. You need to expect more from yourself and pass that down the food chain. They should be proud to have trained and certified by you. Okay? You lead by example. You're the training counselor, not just a certifier. Now, if you're certifying instructors for a CCW type credential, you better make sure that they are ready to do the job. Some criteria to take into account includes, can they teach this right now? Would I take training from them? Would I send my loved ones to them? Will they be able to teach this better than me? Can I learn from them? It's a yes or no answer, not a I don't know. If it's an I don't know, guess what? It's a no. If the answer is no or I don't know, then don't certify them. Coach them, mentor them, direct them to good training, make them better. Don't fail a candidate because you don't want bad reviews either. You got to learn to take the lumps. Now, if you make notes and you take good notes on your candidates, whether they do well or they don't do well, you need to have notes to refer to. Okay? But if you're passing candidates because you're afraid of a bad review, get out or change your attitude. It's not about your ego or Google ratings. It's about life and death. We're talking concealed carry. We're talking you're sending somebody out there to teach somebody how to potentially save their lives. And if you don't take it seriously, they won't. If they're not ready, they aren't ready yet. Now, if you put an instructor out there that isn't ready, you're just creating a downward spiral that is not good. Okay? If you put them out there and they fail a student by not teaching them correctly, and then that student fails in real life, we're talking a real life defensive encounter, that's on you. Okay? They might get hurt or worse, but they're going to look back at their instructor and say, well, my instructor taught me this or didn't teach me this or didn't make me fully understand all this. And guess what? That instructor is going to go back to their training and go, well, my training counselor didn't tell me this or told me this incorrectly or didn't fully prepare me. Okay? You're responsible for them and you're responsible for what they do. Now, if you're not willing to fail a candidate, obtain better training, or provide high quality training to your candidates and clients, you have the same two choices. Get better or get out. So that's my take on this. I've said enough. Now it's on you. Make the choice. Get better or get out. I'm really hoping you take the first choice. Let's see what we can do to make you better. If you want to get better, let's get to work. Thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the next episode.